So on.
Yeah,
Yeah, the recording.
Where do I
Guys, this is a Zoom for psychology, right?
No, it's mad.
Guys, I'm lost in psychology. Can someone please explain to me what's going on?
It is.
Oh. Please stop that. Ang phone me.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Pardon me, who's supposed to mute the mic? Me. Hello, everybody. Still 3 minutes to go. Oops. How's it? How do you say your name? Sika. And Tabile. People with the cameras on. How are you doing? Don't put your camera off. Leave it on. Tabila, leave your camera on. I like it when there's a few people with the cameras on, then I can speak to them. So I'll speak to you guys. Otherwise, it feels like a dead thing I'm speaking to. And plus, now you're famous. You're live on YouTube. So I'll also send you guys a YouTube link. I don't know if you saw it yet. Just let other people know. So we are live on YouTube. I'm watching the screen there. And then Hey, Marlene. And so. Let me see. Yes, it's almost 200 people. I'm gonna share the screen, but I'm not gonna start recording it until it's 10 past officially, and then we'll start the recording just for those people who aren't here. And then also, yeah, I'm not say too much yet. So I'm gonna have you guys who are comfortable with having your cameras on. I'm gonna just ask you guys to say something, man, so that you can pop to the top of that list, and then so then you're going to be my barometer so that I can see whether you're nodding heads or shaking heads and whatnot, so that you give me an indication of what's happening. All right? The non-verbal cues. And then will you guys also just tell me if there's something important being said in the chats, because I can't follow chats while I'm doing, I get into a zone and then I forget I must read chat. And if people don't mind, also if you just watch, if people are commenting on YouTube, because I'm not going to watch that screen the whole time. All right, is that cool? Sharp. Now I'm just going to share the screen again. And I'm going to mute this quickly because otherwise it's an echo. Right, so those guys with the cameras on, don't you just want to say something so that you can pop up to the top? So I have Marlene. Marlene, just say something so you can pop to the top. And Sibiwe and Tabile. And
Hi, good afternoon.
hello. There we go. Some more people.
Good afternoon.
Right, who's Zoom user? Zoom user, if your camera's not on. Okay, there she's back. Hello, Zoom user. Marlene, you can mute yourself now.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, is it 10 past? Yeah, it's 10 past. See, I'm punctual. Seldom that I'm tardy. Listen, so good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Psychology 101 officially. Last week, what Mr. Zondo did was wasting your time with the introduction that I'm playing. But this is officially the start of the course now. I'm presenting the first module of which you will be examined on, all right? And you will be tested on. So it's development and learning, or developmental psychology. Yeah. Jamila, please, I sent you the email. I said when you connect, please join, but keep your computer on mute, man. Yo, Jamila, can I chuck people from here? I must find out how to chuck people. Let me see. Sir, can you please mute everyone? Yo, who's that? Leila, you're asking me something that I haven't done before. Now, let me see. I think I must do that when I do the settings again, before I send the link, or when I send the link, then I'll do that. Sorry about that, but people must be a bit more considerate. Okay, so where was I? So yes, first course. So let's see how today goes. All right, today I'm just going to do introduction and some housekeeping for what to expect and how things are going to work. All right, my name is Aaron Fulton. It's right there. And yeah, you don't need to know anything about me. Yeah, much about me. We'll get to know each other as we go along. Come now, move. All right, so the outline of the lecture. So what's going to happen, how I'm going to be presenting this is that, oh wait, let me record. Should I record? Marlene, should I record the lectures? Let me just record.
Yes, you can record it.
All right, I have everybody's permission to record. I'm assuming record on this computer. Record on this computer. Does it say recording where you are?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it does.
Right, perfect.
Yes,
All right, great. So listen, so what's going to happen is I'm going to do online lectures, right? We do the late lecture every day. So tomorrow it's going to be 4:05. Let me just see. Tomorrow's class starts at 4:05. And then a live stream on YouTube so that people can follow there also. I do the recording. And then I share the lecture slides. The lecture slides you find on Audio Connected. I'll open it now after the lecture, but your course outline is there that you can access already. And then I'll also post the link there, the link for the video recording there after I've edited some things out, right? Sometimes I say some controversial things and I don't want to get into trouble. And then I'll edit that out so that you don't have evidence of it. And then, so 3 things happening. I do it live. So synchronous teaching via Zoom, because the class sizes are too big. And then I put the lecture slides there and I put the recording there for people who weren't able to make it, or if you just want to go over the stuff again. And then there will be tutorials. Well, not really tutorials, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 2 assessments or 2 quizzes. And they are just going to be formative assessments, right? Just so now the important thing with this is I find always that we do the quizzes, students don't do it, then they struggle with the test when the test comes around. And this is practice for your test so that you know how the system works, what to expect, the kind of questions it's going to ask, and so on. So you have experience, and sometimes we repeat some of those questions. So it's not new to you, all right? So then you have had an opportunity to see those questions here. And then I think on that's on the next slide. So there's also going to be a test, I think, on the 24th and the 25th of March. All right. So the test is open for 24 hours, but you only have 30 minutes to complete the test. All right. So although it's open for 24 hours, so people have 24 hours in which to access the course, but when you access the course, you have 30 minutes to complete the task, all right, to complete all the 30 questions that's been asked of you to complete. Let me just see what the questions are about. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, and also, can I just tell you guys why I will call this part housekeeping, right? So that's when the lectures are going to be, tutorials, summative assessments. When you communicate with me, I sent a message on Telegram this morning, and I said, so I don't check messages on there. You need to ask me a question, you email me the question, right? Or you can post it on Audio Connected on that forum there, although I don't often also check that. But if you email me, I often check my emails. And so when you email me, please, people, it's important. You know my name, you know my surname. You can call me Alron, you can call me Mr. Photon, whatever you want to. But don't just email me and say good day. I take that as you being offended about something, and I don't know, it's just me. I don't read it nicely when I read good day. I read it good day is how I read it, and then I take offense to it. So when you email me, use the proper etiquette for emailing people and for writing a message. So it's either hi Alron, dear Mr. Fulton, dear Alron, whatever, but address it to me. Otherwise, I'm going to promptly ignore your email and you won't get a response from me. For instance, this morning somebody emailed me. Let me just see, where are you? That. I can't find it now. Yeah, Sanazo emailed me this morning very nicely. I responded to her. Right? I don't know if she's here or it's here. We see Sanazo. Yes. Sanazo, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Where are you? Turn your camera on, man. Oh, there you are. Hi, Sanazo.
I'm shy. I'm joking.
Okay, that's fine then. But Sanazo, you will attest to it, right? You emailed me this morning. I responded almost immediately.
Yes, you did. I remember you did, sir.
Right, good. So, and then another person emailed me, Chuma, and this person didn't get a response from me. And there's reasons why, Chuma, why you didn't get a response from me. All right. So I'm very strict on this. I'm old school when it comes to this. You need to do things properly. This is not social media, friends and groups and stuff like that. When we do things professionally, right? Although I'm laid back in my classes and I try to be very humorous and so on, but that doesn't mean that you must take advantage of it and disrespect me. All right. All right, Michael, is that all right? Is that your name, Michael?
Yes, sir. It's my name,
All right.
Michael.
Okay, so Michael, is that fine? Are we clear on that?
Yeah, we are clear, sir.
Great, thanks, Michael. Come now. And then, so learning outcomes. So after completing the scores, you should be able to explain the domains of development, right? So when we speak of domains, we're speaking about the areas that we're going to focus on, like physical development, cognitive development, social development, and emotional development things, right? During all stages of human life. So that is childhood, adolescent, young adult, and old age. Tato, is that you coughing? You giving us all COVID, please. So learning outcomes, you will be able to explain the domains of development, that is physical, cognitive, social, emotion during all stages of development. You consider the impact of social and cultural factors on development. So it's not only those things, but you will also consider them in context and how they occur. You will be able, you should be able to critique mainstream approaches to human development. Human development is important, right? If you are aware of things, you see, I don't know, Michael, do you have nieces and nephews or cousins that are young still?
No.
None of those. All right.
No. I don't have a nephew, I don't have a cousin, it's just me.
It's just you.
Yeah.
Yes. But so for those people, you'll be able, but Michael, in the future, you will see when if you're at the shopping mall, for instance, and you see a parent with a child and the child is misbehaving, you'll be able to explain what's happening, right? Why the child is doing what they're doing, possibly, not 100% accuracy, but you'll have a good idea of what's going on, what's happening with the child, his or herself, and what the parents have not been doing right, or what they have been doing right, and these kind of things, basically. But so we look at mainstream stuff, mainstream psychology, and when I say mainstream psychology, I speak about the traditional theorists, all right? We have to present those things, and then we give you the critiques of them. So we don't chuck the baby out with the bathwater. And then you should be able to engage with the literature and the lecture content, all right? Like, for instance, today I'm going to ask you a critical question that you need to be able to answer for me tomorrow's lecture. We will start off, that's fine, Tato, thank you for the apology, we appreciate it. So tomorrow's lecture, we're going to start off with a question we're going to end today, all right? And I'm hoping that you guys will come with some discussion, and yes, and we'll see how it goes. And like I say, I'm not your ordinary psychologist. I'm very controversial, all right? I don't believe in a lot of the things that a lot of my colleagues believe in, so I'm always at loggerheads with them, debating them and so on, because they can't just make claims and statements that they can't substantiate and prove with evidence, all right? I'm all about the evidence. Yeah. All right, and then next, so you will do an essay, so the course will be assessed, essay, tests, and then the exam in June, right? So the exam in June will cover everything from my course up until what you do in June before the exam. I can check in the booklet what all those modules is in a second. So what you will be examined on would be my course, Developmental Psychology or Development and Learning, Biological Psychology, and then Wellness. All right, so those three things or areas up until June. So firstly, CSB is going to give you guys an essay topic that you need to do. And then the tutors will guide you guys with regards to that, what the essay topic is, how to answer it, how to reference, and all of these things, right? So the essay will be based on course material covered in biology, in biological, and in developmental and learning psychology, right? So my section and CSB section. And they will give you all the guidelines. So I'm not involved with that. I'm not involved with the setting of the question for you, for the assignment, or in the marking of it, all right? That is CSB's department. So the test that you will do, your online test will take place on Are You Connected? There will be a section in my course, on the page for this course. And then the test is timed. You will have an hour to complete the test. Okay, so it's an hour, not 30 minutes. So you'll have an hour to complete it. Because it's your first one, probably we give you a longer time. It will open from 5 o'clock on the 24th of March, and it will close on the 25th of March at 5 o'clock again. So you have 24 hours to access, but you only have an hour to complete it, right? Counted to what I previously said, half an hour. So you'll have an hour to complete it. You will have to answer the 30, so it's going to be multiple choice questions. So one question with 4 or 5 options to select from. And you will notice there's a timer. And so when the timer goes off, whatever you have submitted will be accepted automatically, right? If you didn't submit, if you didn't complete by the time the timer goes off, then it's tough luck for you, all right? There's no going back to change answers also. In other words, you cannot open it and come back to it later. So once you access, so here's the thing, once you access the test, you need to complete the test, all right? You can't pause, go do something else, and then come back to it, all right? You need to sit there for that full, however long it's going to take you to complete it. And then we already spoke about the exam. And so we'll give you more details about the exam as we go along. Right. All right. So are we clear on all of those things? Michael, any questions?
Nope, nothing so far, sir. Doing good.
Right. So some Kelo asked, is the test open book? Some Kelo, it's not intended to be an open book test, but we can't control what we can control, but I don't do it, all right? So people can control our tests, but the exams specifically, there's a setting where people can watch you, how you're doing the exam, all right? But I'm not going to do the settings in the test. So it's not open book. Technically, it's not an open book, but who's going to know if you're sitting there with an open book? Or who's going to know if you pay somebody who knows psychology, a second-year student maybe who's desperate for money and has low ethics to do your test? We're not going to know. All right, Samgelo, yes? Right, wait a second, let me see how we're doing here on YouTube. Natalie Clark said yes. Thank you, Natalie Clark. I'm trying to find the best place to put this so that I can see my notes also. All right, what is the theory? Michael, what do you know? What's the theory? Yes, no, right? Yes, the right answers, but I'm not going to judge you with the wrong answer. Michael, what do you think? What is a theory in psychology?
Okay, theory in psychology. I would say a theory is trying to understand what one's thinking, also like trying to learn behaviors, emotions of people by examining them, by looking at them. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank
you. I appreciate your confidence in speaking, Michael. Somebody is complaining. Let me see. Mort, I don't know how to say Mort. I don't know. The person complaining about Michael representing the class, that the reason for that is because Michael's camera is on. If you turn your camera on, then you can also participate. And I'll ask you questions also. And I can't see everybody on the screen. Yeah, I can only see one. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Names only. Michael is the only person whose camera is on. And I really appreciate Michael for turning his camera on. And I'm glad he's wearing clothes and is not walking around naked. All right, so in psychology, theories are used to provide a model for understanding human thoughts, emotions, and very specifically for human behavior. Psychology is a study that is a field that wants to understand and explain human behavior. And so we come up with theories, we develop theories, we do research with people or with animals, and we then make certain inferences about people. All right, so psychology then comes with theories to explain human behavior. For instance, in learning, famous Skinner and Pavlov did studies on learning with animals and made logical inferences that this is how human beings will also behave. all right? And the theories stand the test of time because it also proved to be relevant for when you want to understand human behavior. So psychology is made up a whole range of different theories to explain different kinds of behaviors, right? Whether it's abnormal behavior or just normal developmental behavior, or things that people do in ordinary people. But psychology is famous for understanding and explaining abnormal behavior. So what is wrong in society, basically, right? And so a psychological theory has to have two key components. It must describe a behavior, number one, and it must make predictions about future behaviors also. So it should be able to, so if you want to establish, if you want to come up with a theory, those are the two basic things that you need to, that your theory need to be able to do. All right, and it needs to be consistent across different cultural contexts also. All right, so it must be able to describe a behavior, and it should be able to make certain predictions about future behaviors also, right? And so there are many developmental and learning theories in psychology. There's people like Van Duren, Erickson, and Skinner, and Marcia. So there's a whole host of names and theories that you guys will be introduced to, not only in my course, but in other courses also, and that you should know if you want to practice as a psychologist, all right? Can we please switch off our mics? Yes, people, please switch off your mics. All right, so number next. So that is what are theories, all right? And then what is developmental psychology? So developmental psychology is only a sub-discipline of psychology that describes or attempts to describe and explain the changes people undergo over the entire lifespan. I need you guys just to write that down quickly, man. Although it's you have the notes, the slides, I want you guys to write down that first statement there. We're going to come back to it again, all right? So developmental psychology is a sub-discipline of psychology. Please write down that describes or attempts to describe and explain the changes people undergo over the entire lifespan. All right, and then human development has been divided into different periods or stages. So we have different periods and stages of human development, all right? And so the criteria is usually divided into chronological age. So those periods is usually divided into chronological age or based on chronological age, and or biological indicators such as puberty or menarche, all right? So so in women, that is the onset of period, all right? So puberty or when, and puberty is also onset of period. All right, do you have that? So can I go to the next slide? Michael?
Yes, sir.
Did you write that down, that first comment there? Can I go to the next slide? Thanks.
Yes, sir, you can.
Next, Elisa.
No, so wait for a few minutes.
No, I can't wait a few minutes. I can wait a few seconds.
Few
You said 2
seconds.
minutes. We're
Few
almost done.
seconds then.
Not 2 minutes.
Please, sir.
Only the first sentence. You have the lecture notes. The lecture notes are going to be there online. I just need you to write that down so that we can generate discussion later on. Okay, Oliver, yes, the slides will be on, if you join us late and you won't know, I said the slides and the recording will be on our Connected later on. Your camera is covering part of the text.
Answer.
Huh? My camera is
We're
covering part
done,
of the
sir.
text. All right, cool. But I can see clearly here, sorry, that's what you're speaking about. I can't help, I don't know how to move that, man, because on my computer it's not there in the same place. Sorry about that, but what you're missing there is sub-discipline. The developmental psychology is a sub-discipline. Anyway, there it's gone now. Right, number next.
So I have a question.
Who's that?
It's confidence.
Confidence. Hello, Confidence.
Hi,
What's your
sir.
question?
I have a question on development psychology. So does it also include the growth that we go through?
That's it. Yes, exactly. Physical growth. That is what physical development is about. It's about growth. Your physical growth. Yes. Confidence.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it includes growth. Yes.
Okay. And how we get wrinkles when we are old.
Yes. That's only one of the problems that you have when you get old.
Okay.
All right. So how development and learning is studied. All right. So already indicated in the previous slide is that a divide. So what developmental psychologists do when they study human behavior, human development, whether it's personality, learning or cognition, right? They divide the human lifespan into early childhood, middle childhood, right? And then adolescence and adulthood and aging. All right. So early childhood would be from birth to around 12 years of age. Then middle childhood would be around 13 to about 18 or 21, depending on what it is that we're looking at. Excuse me. Let me do this again. I was including adolescence now. Early childhood is from birth to about 7 years of age, right? The start of school. So when you start primary school, really not grade R and those other grades. So it's when you start from birth to when you start school, so about 6-7 years old. And then middle childhood would be from 6 or 7 years of age to about 12 years of age. And then your adolescence starts from 13 to about 18 or 21. And then adulthood is also divided into adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. All right, and that varies also. But here they just have one for adulthood from 21 till about 60, and then it's aging and so on. All right, but adulthood itself can also be categorized and divided up differently into early, middle, late adulthood, and so on. All right. They say, what do they say? They say 49 is the new, I don't know what, the new 30 or something like that. Some people are saying. So importantly, development is not a template that everybody has to go through, right? It is just proposed stages that reflect broad, approximated developmental trends rather than a template for all developmental contexts. Okay, so we have a standard of how things generally occur, but not everybody goes through that same process. For instance, sometimes children in early childhood, there's differences in when they start speaking. All right, so the theory will say children start speaking about around 1 year or earlier of age. So between 10 months to 12 months of age, they start speaking. That's on average. Sometimes some children start speaking earlier, and sometimes some children start speaking later than that. Right? It doesn't mean that there's necessarily that the child who speaks earlier necessarily has higher intelligence or greater capacity, or that the one who develops speaking later has lower intelligence or has developmental problems. All right, that is just an estimated range of what happens on average in general. All right. Also, when it comes to walking and these kind of things, new parents can often panic when new parents, oftentimes when they're a new parent and somebody else also has a child around about the same time of their child, then they compare their child to the other person's child. That child is walking or speaking, and now we have a problem. Our child is not. There's something wrong with him or her. We need to do something about this, and so on. All right? They tend to panic for nothing. Yeah, I was thinking of something else, but it's not relevant. And then, so the key areas of development would be physical development, which includes physiological and motor development. Confidence, there you asked this question earlier, right? So it includes physical development, which includes your physiological development and your motor development. What is motor development? Confidence, do you think?
What's motor development?
Yes.
I'm not sure, but I think it has to do with knowledge.
No. Motor. What is a motor? It's about learning to drive a car.
Oh,
No, man, I'm playing. It's not learning to drive a car.
Oh,
Tandeka, Musi has raised your hand. So Tandeka, yes, over to you.
Hi, sir. I think motor development has to do with a movement or walking.
Okay, yes, partially correct. Yeah, but it has to do with movement, yes. Copano?
I was going to say movement. Could it also refer to? No, there's nothing else I was going to say movement as well.
All right, so it has to do with movement, right? But it's not just general movement, it's controlled movement. So initially it will be that kind of movement. Camera is covering text. Okay, let me move. I don't know if I can move the camera. Sorry, people. Let me move there. In any case, you're going to have the next slide. So it's to do with movement, right? As general and also more specific kind of movements. For instance, that hand-eye coordination kind of things. All right. So if your babies initially they can't. When you want to pick up something, they're very uncoordinated. But the more they use their muscles and the more they do things, they become more coordinated and controlled. All right, in terms of picking up things, taking a spoon, bringing it to their mouth, for instance, is one of the primary things that they learn initially in terms of motor development. Right, picking up a spoon and bringing it to the mouth. In the first couple of weeks, when they start doing this, their whole face is full of food always. I don't know if you observe babies, their whole face is full of food, but the more the motor development improves, the better they get at it. Afterwards, we don't worry about it anymore. Right, how we do things like, what's his name, just drank vodka from the glass now. This guy here that I can't see. All right, cognitive development, which includes the development of language and thought processes, and this is a whole big thing. That is just very brief, right? You're going to do a course later in the year that's called cognition, and you will see all of the detail that goes into. All right, cognitive development, which includes the development of language, thought processing, thinking, reasoning, all of those things is involved in cognitive development. Yes, Raffaello.
Hi, sir. I just wanted to ask, with everything that you've mentioned, so development, human development, cognitive development, and your motor skills, is this what you look at to see where a child would be on the autistic spectrum? So like from an early age, you'd look at the development psychology, and how do you know then where they are?
Yes, so two people can normally do this, right? A developmental psychologist or an educational psychologist will be able to determine the child's development in that, if it's staggered development. And but you can also do, if you're trained and if you know what to look for, you're also able to detect this early. Somebody asked the question, sir, can a baby show signs of a high IQ? Not necessarily. It's how we define things, right? How it's socially constructed, what we regard as a high IQ. IQ is an accumulation of knowledge that we have at a particular age in relation to other people. So no, the answer is no, a baby can't. You can only display these things later on in life. And it depends entirely on how you define what is an IQ really. But the crude answer is no. In my estimation, no. And I'll give you an example now. Let me just hear what Marlene has to say. Yes, Marlene?
So on the cognitive development, are we also going to look at the part where a child grows up fine, but then as time goes by, she starts like being slow?
Not really. That is something that you do address in abnormal psychology, because that is a particular psychological disorder, really, a psychological and developmental disorder where children initially are fine, but at a certain age, there's an onset of difficulties and so on, and that is there's a diagnosis, there's a specific diagnosis for that kind of development. So, but I'm looking at general normal development. All right, on average, how normal people develop is what we're looking at. We're not looking at abnormal stuff. So some people believe when you play that game, Wezi is what we call it on the Cape Flats. I don't know what you guys call it. In American movies, they call it peekaboo. You know this game? The adult covers their face and then goes Wezi, Daisy. You know this game? And in American movies, they call it peekaboo. Yes, who said yes? Somebody say yes. You know this game?
Yes, we do, sir.
We do, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir, we do.
So I'm not mad. So there are some people that believe the more attention the more a child is entertained by this game, not the more. So the longer the child is entertained by this type of game, the lower their IQ intelligence will be. And the easier that the child becomes bored of this game, the higher the IQ and intelligence will be. All right, but that is the misperception. It's not real. All right, but some people will say that. I say it to offend people. I say the child is going to be stupid. They're laughing for the last 5 minutes of the stupid game. And but that is not true, right? It's it has no determination on a person's ability. All right, and then your psychosocial development, which includes emotional development and the development of interpersonal relationships. All right, so these are the kind of domains of human development that is generally studied. All right, so another way to define them, it can be physical development, cognitive development, which includes behavior, personality development, and what's the last one now? Physical, cognitive, personality. And there I just forgot the other one now. But also we're not covering personality, all right? Because there's a dedicated course for personality because it's so important to psychology also. Marlene, is your hand up again or is it still up?
Oh, no, sir.
All righty, so just over that. All right, so what is learning? So generally there are 3 types of learning, right? There are 3 main types of learning. So the learning it's called, so the first one is classical conditioning, second one is operant conditioning, and then we have observational learning. All right, so there is the person I spoke about earlier, Pavlov, I think, and B.F. Skinner. So Pavlov did experiments. He wanted to see. Actually, he was a he wasn't a psychologist. He started some other thing that I can't recall now, and he wanted to see dogs salivating. He studied this salivating, and then came up with the theory of classical conditioning that you can condition people to do certain behaviors. All right, and this is what people use to have you learn things that you want to do, like you want to live healthy or you want to give up smoking. We can teach you how to do that, or we can have you unlearn certain bad behaviors like biting your nails, pulling your hair out, and so on. Right? We can use classical conditioning to have you to unlearn those. So it either helps you acquire new behavior, or will help you make a certain unwanted behavior become extinct. All right. And then operant conditioning it just speaks about reward and punishment for doing certain behaviors. In classical conditioning, we pair certain things with each other. In operant conditioning, we give you a reward or punishment. Right? Like a compliment would be a reward, and a hiding would be punishment. A compliment will encourage you repeating a certain behavior again, and a punishment will act as a barrier from you repeating a certain behavior. And then observational learning, which is learning that occurs by observing certain people. And the 2 people, important people, they are Vygotsky and Bandura. And so it's Vygotsky that speaks about the zone of proximal development. Again, we'll cover that in cognitive psychology late in the year. We'll go into more detail in this. I don't know who's writing on the screen. Let me just check what messages are here. Does that mean he's able to erase someone's memory? Not entirely, but if you have damage to your brain, you can forget certain things, but you can't really erase someone's memory. There's a motivated forgetting, yes, where people are motivated to forget certain things, certain episodes in their lives.
That are traumatic.
So who's saying your child is going to be stupid? Whose child is going to be stupid?
Yeah.
All right, so where do we stop now? By Hotsky and then who are the two people there, you know? So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. Learning, you're going to do learning later on in the year. But we're going to get to learning also next week, maybe the following week. Right, let's see. Then key themes. Key themes underlying the study of development. Key themes in understanding the study of developmental psychology. All right. So there's the nature versus nurture debate. There's the continuity versus discontinuity, and stability versus change, and the socio-cultural context are the key things that we need to consider when we are that underlies the study of human development. Right. So when I started studying in 1999, this was a hot debate. The nature-nurture debate was a hot topic then, all right? And I couldn't understand why is this a hot topic. Isn't it obvious, I thought to myself, that it's the both of them contribute 50-50 to a person's development and why people do certain.
Discipline of psychology that describes and explains.
Oh, turn off your mics. Mute yourself. Sir, may you please give us a reference of where to find the topic of development? It's in the course outline. I reference what the chapters are in. Audrey. I'll give you just check the course outline. They are there. What was I saying now about nature nurture? So this is an important thing, right? In some instances, so obviously both plays a part in what happens in people's lives, all right, and how people do things. But I only discovered when I was doing masters, I was writing something, and then I realized the importance of this, and I wrote about it. And if I can recall, the important thing about this is when you're working with people, when people come to you presenting with a certain problem, then you need to listen carefully as to where they attribute the problem to. So they're either going to say it's because of the nature of the person, or it's because it's nurtured. And then you know how you can intervene, what these people will be open to, what suggestions they were open to do remedial kind of work. All right. So this is important. So it will always be either one of the two. It will either be they were born this way, or this behavior was accumulated or learned over time. So in either instance, you will know how to intervene, what to suggest as a remedial treatment for these individuals. I'm going to figure out how to move that. Caitlin Marais, I'm going to penalize you 5%, 2 marks or 5 marks from your test. Somebody said thank you, sir. I don't know for what. Anyways, let's go on quickly. I need to go through each of these topics individually now. So the nature versus nurture. Basically, what this nature-nurture debate is about asking, do genetic or environmental factors have a greater influence on your behavior, right? So do genetic, so the things that you are born with, so you are born with certain traits, certain behaviors and things, all right? Does that play a bigger role, or does the environment play a bigger role? And there's different arguments of both sides of the aisle, all right? And people will give you very persuasive arguments for why either of the two matter. I find myself right in the middle, and I'll look at the evidence, and then I will make the attribution as to what is happening, what is doing the most. All right, for instance, in my PhD that I'm just busy writing up now, I was just reading on nature-nurture stuff yesterday, and particularly a person by the name of Yuri Bronson-Brenner, who writes about the ecological theory of human development. And he says that we need to consider both of these things, the biological factors and the environmental factors. And he in actual fact says that, let me tell you this. So he cites a study that was conducted. I'll be with you now. Nkosi Yapa. I don't know if I said that correctly. Apologies if it's not correct. So he cites a study where that was conducted in America, where they used 4 different groups of people. All right. So they take Asians, East Asians, 2 groups of them. The one group, they stay in the country. I think it was Japan. So they stay in Japan. The other group they take to America, and then they take 2 American groups also. The one group stays in America. The other group they take to Japan, right? And then they study them longitudinally over a period of time. And what they found was when they later on, so they measured them all the time, their development, and then they found that on average, those who stayed in America, right, who grew up in America, on average were taller than the ones who grew up in Japan. And they say that the difference in their height or in their size was because of diet. And they cite further studies as to how certain diets and nutrition can alter your DNA and so on. So there's evidence to suggest that we can, although we're born with certain genes, that it can be also changed or affected by the environment that we live in. So by the environment, we mean everything that happens outside of us, right? Stuff that we eat, although we're eating it inside of us, but we're not producing those things ourselves naturally. I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm going to share the slides. Are connected. I'm not answering that. Other person, yes, you can speak. The person who's Nkosiapa.
Hi, sir.
How do you say your name, please?
Nkosiapa.
Huh? Nkosiapa.
Yes.
All right, Nkosiapa, what's your question?
My question is under nurture. So when a child undergoes or experiences birth trauma, is it likely to affect the child later on emotionally?
Quite possibly. It depends on the type of trauma that they go through, right? But yes, you're speaking about birth. Trauma can even happen in the womb. A child can experience certain adverse conditions in the womb, and that can affect them later on in life, emotionally, their relationships, and so on. So it's not even at birth, not just during that perinatal period, but during, what is that birth period? But also in the womb, things can happen that can affect your life drastically as an adult or wherever later on in life. Guys, it's 5:02. I'm supposed to finish. Can I just go through this quickly and then get to the question, or you can read through this, we can speak about it again. The nature versus nurture debate is one of the oldest philosophical issues within psychology, right? Nature refers to biological and hereditary factors that influence who we are. Nature refers to all the external factors that impact who we are, including our early childhood experience, how we were raised, our social relationships, and our surrounding culture. So instead of defending extreme, so this is the thing, right? Instead of defending extreme nativist or nurturist views, most psychological researchers are now interested in investigating how nature and nurture interacts in a host of qualitatively different ways. All right, so this is where Bram van Bremen's work has influenced contemporary psychology. All right, instead of wasting our time with what it is, and it seems kind of obvious. And but anyways, people used to have big fights about that. Continuity versus discontinuity. The continuity view says that change is gradual and sees our development as a cumulative process, right? We add more of the same type of skills that were there to begin with. All right, so you are born with certain traits and you are drawn to certain things because of that. So you are drawn to certain interests because of what you were born with. The discontinuity view sees development as taking place in different specific steps or stages, right? New ways of understanding and responding to the world emerge at specific times. So you can see here in the one view is very essentialist and deterministic, and in other, not so much. All right. And then stability versus change. In this view, do early personality traits persist through life, or do we become different persons as we age, right? And then stability implies personality traits present during infancy endure throughout the lifespan. In contrast, the change theorists argue that personalities are modified by interactions with family experiences at school, and acculturation. What's acculturation? It's information that we acquire, right? That we're not born with, that we acquire. There's also other experiments that Bronfman Bremer cites that is very interesting, but we are now running out of time. I want to give you a social culture context. You guys can read up on that. Then there's critiques of these, and then there's a video that you can watch that's going to introduce this further. But now, for tomorrow, for the start of tomorrow's lecture, I just want to go back to this. Where's that slide? To this slide. So I just want to go back. So remember the thing that I asked you to write down earlier? It's related to this slide here, right? If you look at what is missing here is the question. So this is human development, right? From birth to old age, all right? Human development, right? This is human development from birth to old age. My question is, what is missing here? And now you need to think about that in relation to this. Developmental psychology is a subdiscipline that describes and explains changes people undergo over their entire lifespan. The operative term there is, so think about that entire lifespan and tell me what is missing here. If you consider the human in the entire lifespan, what is missing? We'll start tomorrow with our conversation there. Is that okay?
Wait, sir, please go for your question again.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Somebody
sir.
said, Maza. So I'm asking what is missing. If you look at this, thank you. If you look at this image, what is missing? So, and if you look at the thing that I asked you to write down earlier, let's go back. Sorry, just go back. So remember I asked you to write down this earlier, right? I said developmental psychology is a subdiscipline of psychology that describes and explains the changes people undergo over their entire lifespan is the key there, over their entire lifespan. Now, here's our entire lifespan, but I'm saying there's something missing there. And we're going to just start our class tomorrow there with a discussion on what is missing. All right, let me see who's asking, who has what to say. Death. No, don't answer me now, think about it.
The coffin is missing.
Well, we're going to discuss it tomorrow. Okay, people, thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye, Simple. Bye. Bye. Bye.